for joining us. I'm Olivia Sandusky. The Coachella Valley has a rich history prior to the formation of the 9 major cities. Before glamorous boutiques and resorts filled the desert, Native American tribes called this area home, and they still do today. The Cahuilla people, who are depicted in this mural, are considered the first known inhabitants of the Coachella Valley, dating back thousands of years. Cahuilla Indians are known for living off the land, using fan palms in baskets, sandals, and dwellings. They're also skilled pottery makers and storytellers, and they use traditional Cahuilla bird songs to share their history and creation. Those songs are still sung to this day, and they can be an important part of celebrations like annual powwows, like this one. Step by step, Native American dancers make their grand entrance at the Morongo Powwow, moving to the songs of their ancestors.
There is a certain feeling you get when you're dancing or when you're singing. It's just a spirit that when you put your best effort through it, through all the sacrifices and everything, when you think about the people who aren't here, your loved ones who passed on, the elders, the dancers and the singers, one of our main goals is to try to get that spirit to come out, to come alive, because it does exist.
Dancers are dressed in handmade regalia, and each bead, feather, and fabric has a special meaning.
The boughs are told to be, worn off evil spirits. A trailer here, which was to, as we're moving the camps, the trailer drags on the dirt, and it leaves a mark that's not footprints, so we can't be tracked.
My wife does my beadwork, and she does our beadwork for our son too. Whatever comes to our mind and what we want to wear and what we want to represent, we don't just put things together just for fun.
Dancers from various tribes across the country take part in this 3-day celebration at the Morongo Powwow, and there are traditions specific to the Cahuilla people as well, including bird songs. These songs tell the migration story of the Cahuilla Nation through rhythmic song and dance. Handmade gourd rattles keep the beat as singers perform in a line with a leader in the center. This form of storytelling is a time-honored tradition among the Cahuilla Indians, and it's passed down through generations.
So it tells the stories of how the people moved and flew around the world. They say they flew around the world 3 times and then found their way back home. Traditionally, they were sung 3 nights in a row without repeating.
But as the population of Cahuilla language speakers decreases over time, this tradition was almost lost. And local Cahuilla tribes like the Morongo Band of Mission Indians are determined to keep it alive.
So in the 70s, we had several of the head singers from this area. They started doing an apprenticeship with some of the younger men and then bring the songs back. And today we have children 5 to 3 years old learning how to bird sing as well.
And for the last 33 years, bird singers have performed here at the Morongo Thunder and Lightning Powwow, offering the community a look into their culture and traditions.
It's our way of giving back. It's a way of sharing who we are and being able to take the power within ourselves and tell our stories, share our songs, share our culture, and making sure that the next generations continue these songs, they continue our traditions.
There are 2 powwows that take place here in the Coachella Valley. But before we dive into those stories, I wanted to learn more about the Cahuilla Indians as a whole. So I went to the Palm Springs Convention Center to speak with UC Riverside professor Gerald Clark, who's also a Cahuilla tribal member. He had just given a presentation at the International Conference of Indigenous Archives, Libraries, and Museums. And he said to better understand how the tribes got to where they are today, you have to go back thousands of years to see where they started. Can you tell me a little bit about what this area looked like thousands of years ago?
There were trade routes going all across the United States, and this would be a crossroads here. In fact, a lot of the major highways are based on the old trade routes. And so the Cahuilla people would have been here in the Coachella Valley, up into San Bernardino County, and then even down into northern San Diego County. My own tribe is not very far away from the San Diego County line.
Cahuilla Indians also had an artistic side, and that's demonstrated through their baskets and pottery. And Gerald himself is an artist.
What I do is a continuation, what I call a continuum of creative expression that Cahuilla people have done for thousands of years. And if we hadn't been creative and able to adapt to new situations and things, we wouldn't be here today. And so when I'm, creating artwork, it's an expression of this long history of creativity within the Cahuilla people.
The tribe has faced many challenges. The smallpox epidemic killed a large percentage of the local Cahuilla population.
I think a lot of Americans hear that story of diseases being devastating for Native people, but one of the things we don't acknowledge is the fact that we all become much more susceptible to getting colds and various things when we're stressed or fatigued. And so, with the mission system established, in California, there was actually a bounty on Indian people. And so that stress that impacted, that exacerbated this whole immunity thing.
Spanish colonization and the Mexican Revolution also led to conflicts of land and a decrease in tribal size. And at one point, there was a push to designate Indian land to protect the tribes.
Federal government officials came through California, and they met not with all the tribes, but many of the tribes up and down the state. And they signed these 18 treaties that promised 7.5 million acres of California land to be reserved for tribes. There was one reservation that would have went from San Bernardino all the way to the Mexican border, okay? And some of the tribes signed these treaties, the government officials signed the treaties, and then when it went back to DC, it was to be ratified by the Senate. And somehow they were magically lost for 50 years and were never ratified.
A pivotal moment came in the 1850s. A grant from the federal government divided up land ownership in the Coachella Valley like a giant checkerboard, making way for the Southern Pacific Railroad. This forced many Native Americans from their land. And a few years later, that same checkerboard map was used as a guide when the government created Native American reservations. The tribe was given the even number parcels while the railroad received the odd numbers, meaning reservations were made up of non-consecutive portions of their ancestral land. What was the impact of that checkerboard map that came after the development of the railroad?
A lot of people who live here, non-Native people, they probably never know when they're on reservation lands or when they're not. And so I imagine that's led to a lot of confusion over the years. And, when you look at Native American policy and Native American law, there's a lot of gray area.
The sectioned off land divided up the Cahuilla Indians across the region, eventually leading to the creation of 9 federally recognized Cahuilla reservations. But even with their own reservations, the tribes still face challenges.
And over and over again, the federal government has tried to push Native people into becoming Americans, right? The Dawes Act in 1887 forced land ownership and allotment onto tribes. Also established the boarding schools, right, which took many of the children away.
And this year marks a specific milestone. 2024 is the 100th anniversary of the Indian Citizenship Act, granting citizenship to all Native Americans born in the U.S. It was signed into law by then-President Calvin Coolidge, eventually leading to voting rights down the road. What are the feelings that are associated with that anniversary?
Because of the social dialogue we have about citizenship and immigration, right? They think that it was just a natural thing that Native people wanted to be citizens. We were already citizens of our tribes, okay? And so when the Citizenship Act passed in 1924, it was actually a response to how many Indians enlisted and fought for this country in World War I. Without being citizens, they were out there on the front lines.
So with all of this history, what's a question Professor Clark gets asked commonly?
Oftentimes people want a number, a date. When did the Indian people get here, what have you? And, for us Indian people, we have a creation story, and we were made here, and we belong here. And this is our homelands, and we're not going anywhere, and it's important that people understand us as not just being part of history, but we are part of the fabric, right, of this country. And the history is dark, right? The history isn't something necessarily to be celebrated, but how can you love this country if you don't know its history?
We'll see more of Professor Clark's artwork later on. But now that we know some of the history, it's time to let the local tribes share their story. In the Coachella Valley, there are 4 federally recognized Cahuilla reservations: Agua Caliente, Augustine, Torres Martinez, and Cabazon, and Morongo rests just outside of the valley. There's also one Chemehuevi reservation in the area, the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians. And tonight, we'll hear from each tribe about the ways they connect to their culture and traditions. So to start, we'll head to the Torres Martinez reservation on the eastern end of the Coachella Valley. You can follow the checkerboard map of Native American reservations right here to the Salton Sea. In fact, the shoreline shows where a portion of the Torres Martinez reservation ends, and the rest is submerged completely under the sea's waters. This tribe has dealt with a unique number of challenges, yet they continue to grow and adapt with the message, "We are still here."
We say in Cahuilla, toyamanish, which means always. We have always been here to protect this land and be one with the environment.
The history of the Cahuilla people, told by Tribal Chairman Thomas Torres Jr. as he hikes through the Mecca Hills wilderness. Torres is the chairman of the Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla Indians, a tribe whose reservation borders the Mecca Hills, a sacred site to the Cahuilla people.
This is our origin, the Cahuilla Nation. Before there were reservations, before the county, the borders, this particular place, it's significantly sacred because this is a part of our creation story where 2 gods were fighting here, and one of our gods, got exiled and was, exiled here.
The area was initially home to 2 reservations, Torres and Martinez, but they were combined under the Relief of Mission Indians Act in 1876. From the Mecca Hills, the reservation extends west across 24,000 acres of sand and foothills. That was until the Salton Sea formed in 1905. A dam at the Colorado River burst, creating the sea and changing the lives of the Torres Martinez tribe forever. Floodwaters covered the area, leaving about half of the Torres Martinez reservation completely underwater. And it caused some tribal members to lose their 40-acre parcels of land altogether. Some ancient stone fish traps can still be found around the sea as tribal members fished and hunted the land. But over the years, water troubles have impacted the tribe. The stagnant sea is filled with pesticides from nearby farms, emitting toxic chemicals to local communities. And contaminated water on the reservation has been declared unsafe multiple times.
We're just under the radar. We advocate. We say there's a problem. It doesn't get to the federal level unless it's, something that's catastrophe.
The tribe is committed to addressing those challenges to protect this land for future generations. They've worked with government agencies to correct drinking water issues, and they created a 60-acre wetland to provide a space for wildlife to live as the sea shrinks. Another focus for the tribe, preserving cultural traditions. Weekly classes on the reservation pass along Cahuilla knowledge and skills like dressmaking.
They're learning how to do their skirts, and they call these skirts ribbon skirts, but they're originally called camp dresses, and how they became to be known as camp dresses is when the Spaniards came. Our women, they didn't have no fabric shirts, so they were just, natural. But when the Spanish came, they told them that it was vulgar, so they made them, they clothed them. So the only fabric that they had was the canvas from the camps. That's why they call them camp dresses.
William Contreras leads these sessions, which also include basics of the Cahuilla language and classes on rattle making, turning hollowed-out gourds into instruments used in bird songs. William shares his knowledge with families to keep the skills of their ancestors alive.
Very happy to share and glad to share, but I'm always feeling like I'm robbing their parents from that. All the pleasures and joys, that's what they should be feeling. But I always try to make sure that their parents are here so this way they can learn it and they can be the ones teaching them.
And together, tribal members and leaders show resilience as they face a unique set of challenges and work to balance their progress and traditions.
We're always coming together like the whole village, and everybody will be able to help contribute to the knowledge and to nourish them so they can become stronger Cahuilla people, to have something that they can say that's theirs.
This here must truly be protected.
A group of local leaders and Native American tribes are pushing to protect the Mecca Hills as a national monument, including Chairman Torres. The hills would be included in the Checkerboard National Monument, which extends from the Colorado River to the Coachella Valley and Joshua Tree National Park. And as the sea around the tribe becomes more toxic, the desire to protect natural spaces around them becomes more important. Throughout the past few months, there have been several calls to President Biden to set the land aside, and local lawmakers are also taking up the cause.
It's going to protect our land, it's going to protect the plants, it's going to protect the animals, and it's going to protect sacred cultural sites.
There's so much more we have to do to preserve, protect, and restore biodiversity, including building our wildlife connectivity and ensuring that the projects that we implement have multiple benefits, not only for biodiversity, but climate change, as well as expanding access.
The proposed Checkerboard National Monument is estimated to encompass around 627,000 acres. From Torres Martinez, let's travel to the Augustine Reservation to learn more about our next tribe. In the Cahuilla language, Tamalpak means from the earth. And that's the focus here on the Augustine Reservation in the heart of Coachella, where dedicated tribal members have turned this abandoned land into a pillar of the community. Meet the small but mighty Augustine Band of Cahuilla Indians.
So we have our sweet corn, which we grown. These were just picked because these are for our fall.
Organic produce lines the shelves at Tamalpak Farm in Coachella. It's a space run by the Augustine Band of Cahuilla Indians, providing the tribe and community with fresh fruits and vegetables.
We have onions, a lot of leafy greens, some chard, celery, broccoli, cauliflower, anything that we can grow out here, we're going to try.
The farm and market opened to the public in 2022, all spearheaded by sisters Ronnie and Amanda.
People have embraced us, and it's because it's so different. Usually tribes are focused on resorts, spas, and all of that type of stuff, and we kind of went a different direction.
This project was a significant milestone for the Augustine tribe, which is one of the smallest tribes in North America. Descended from its namesake, Captain V.V. Augustine, the tribe thrived in the 1800s. But after battling diseases and other hardships, it almost disappeared completely. And the reservation where Tamalpak Farm now sits was left abandoned for 50 years.
By 1995, we were down to only 8 members. 1 adult and 7 children. That 1 adult was my mother, Maryanne Martin. She built this foundation for us.
Maryanne Martin was the tribe's first elected chairperson, and under her guidance, the tribe made impressive strides. She brought the Augustine people back to their reservation, where she oversaw the establishment of Augustine Casino and the solar farm that powers it. Her next goal was to open an organic farm. However, she passed away in 2017 before that could happen.
My mother didn't get a chance to see this come into fruition. So one of my jobs when I came to be chair was to complete the farm.
Amanda is now following in her mother's footsteps as tribal chair, working toward a sustainable future for the Augustine people. Her sister Ronnie became the Tribal Council agricultural liaison, overseeing the production of produce that's sold not only in the Tamalpak Farm Market, but at nearby restaurants and local farmers markets. She says working on the land is connecting the tribe back to its cultural roots.
There's a saying, of land stewards. And so we take pride in making sure that our land is producing not only for us, but for the environment, for nature, for the community around us.
Around the farm, there are symbolic pieces bridging the tribe's past to its future. At one point, the abandoned reservation became a dumping ground for old tires, but even those have found new life.
These 7 feathers represents each adult member of the tribe, and actually these were done by Blake McFarland. He used about 1,000 recycled tires, and now it's a piece of art and a piece of Augustine history.
Also on the property, they've created a display of a traditional Cahuilla village. It includes 4 living dwellings and a ceremonial house that's made out of palm fronds and branches. The display offers a chance to teach the community about Cahuilla history. And the education center next to the market provides a space for school field trips as well. In just the past year, the tribe received a grant to increase their farming production. And the sisters hope to expand this project, all with their mom's vision in mind.
This is not just a farm to us. This is part of my mom's legacy. And a part of that legacy was all about education. We want to provide just a place for the valley to go when it comes to learning and getting a different perspective.
And their hard work is paying off. In October, the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce and City of Coachella named Augustine Casino their Business of the Year. The tribe says the casino's focus has always been and will always be on service, value, and team members. And Tamalpok was named one of the best guided tours in Palm Springs Life's Best of the Best Awards for 2024. From the smallest to one of the biggest tribes, it's time to head to Palm Springs to meet the Agua Caliente Band. A great place to learn about Cahuilla history is here at the Agua Caliente Cultural Museum. Inside, you'll learn more about the tribe and its people, all leading up to today, where it continues to grow at a record pace.
Water is life. Water is the source of life. And our people have been using these waters for thousands of years. We continue to use them today.
Tribal Chairman Reed Milanovich walks along Andreas Canyon Trail in the Indian Canyons, the ancestral home of the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians.
It's something that our ancestors have been doing for thousands of years, and to be walking in these footsteps is incredible. I remember walking through here as a kid. I could feel the power.
About 5,000 years ago, the tribe built communities in the canyons surrounding Palm Springs. There, they constructed traditional Cahuilla homes called quiche, which were small domes made of materials found in their desert land. The tribe would hunt, collect plants and seeds for food and medicine, and also weave baskets. And this beautiful natural space served as a crucial resource for the Agua Caliente tribe, as fresh, clean water flows right through the heart of Indian canyons. Water from the streams allowed the tribe to create an irrigation system, and crops like squash and corn were commonly grown. It wasn't until the 1870s the Agua Caliente Reservation was established, covering almost 32,000 acres, making the tribe the largest collective landowners in Palm Springs to this day.
There's so much beauty to these lands. I get amazed every time I'm walking through here still. I think back to the 1950s and the first all-women tribal council in the history was Agua Caliente. My grandma Laverne was actually on that tribal council. The work that they laid set that foundation. And over the years, up until now, tribal leaders have been building on that foundation, continually growing.
One of those tribal leaders was Reed's father, Richard Milanovich, who led the Agua Caliente people from 1984 until his death in 2012. Under Richard's guidance, the tribe grew economically and politically, and he was recently honored as the post office on Sunrise Way in Palm Springs was designated as the Chairman Richard Milanovich Post Office, marking the first time an Agua Caliente tribal member has been named on a federal building. And like his father, Reed is helping to grow the tribe. In the last few years, the Spa and Cultural Museum opened. And another major development for the tribe this year, the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians Tribal Court opened its doors to the public in October.
This is a monumental milestone for Agua Caliente. This is something that's been worked on for well over 30 years, and to see this actually come to life and being able to really exert our sovereignty, the core of our tribal government as a sovereign nation, and with it being downtown Section 14, the location of it, I mean, it's so incredible.
While there are over 100 federally recognized tribes in California, this is one of less than 25 tribal courts operating across the state. The court has jurisdiction over those who live in or conduct business on the Agua Caliente reservation, including Native Americans and the general public. And in one of the latest developments, the tribe is now the namesake of a concourse at the Palm Springs International Airport, which also sits on tribal land, offering a way for the public to connect with and learn about the tribe's past and present.
Education is very important to my tribe. We've been here for thousands of years. We're the original people of this land. We want the visitors to better understand our culture, our uses of the land, and when visitors come from around the world, they land here at the Palm Springs Airport, that they will know that they are on the Agua Caliente Indian Reservation.
And more history was made for Agua Caliente this year. The tribe was part of a significant land return. 320 acres were given back to the tribe by the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy. The piece of land lies within the San Jacinto mountain range and was purchased by the state of California in 1997.
The Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians passed a tribal resolution to ensure that this land will stay in conservation in perpetuity. So they will be very strong and important stewards to maintain that conservation forever.
The Coachella Valley is unique. There's so much fauna and flora here that is not found anywhere else in the world. We have special plants and animals like the desert tortoise and the peninsular bighorn sheep that depend on the protected and untouched lands here in the Coachella Valley.
A previous donation from the Friends of the Desert Mountains brings the total to about 600 acres of returned land to the tribe this year alone. And from Palm Springs, let's head to Indio to learn more about the Cabazon Band of Cahuilla Indians. In the state of California, most forms of gambling are illegal. But here in the Coachella Valley, you'll find a handful of Indian casinos, including Fantasy Springs, open for business. So how are they allowed? Well, they're on Indian reservations. And a landmark Supreme Court case spearheaded by the Cabazon and Morongo tribes helped to shape the future of tribal gaming.
The Honorable, the Chief Justice and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Oh, yay, oh, yay, oh, yay. For the court is now sitting. God save the United States and this honorable court.
This is the official audio recording from a landmark Supreme Court case that shaped the future of Native American tribes across the country.
We'll hear argument next in California versus the Cabazon Band of Mission Indian.
The question presented in this case is whether state laws prohibiting high-stakes gambling are applicable to tribal gambling operations.
In this 1987 trial, the Cabazon and Morongo tribes argued they should be allowed to run gambling operations on federally recognized Indian reservations, which the state of California outlawed at the time. 4 years earlier, the Cabazon card room was raided by SWAT agents, launching this legal battle over tribal sovereignty.
What the Cabazons were doing wasn't some hidden backroom deal. It was open to the public. It was well publicized. And we knew that initially the city of Indio and then later the Riverside County opposed what they were doing. So we expected some type of response. I'm not sure we expected a full-blown SWAT raid with people, in bulletproof vests and Kevlar helmets and things. I had a lawsuit prepared.
And that lawsuit was picked up by the Supreme Court. Glenn Feldman was the attorney for the Cabazon tribe. He says they were the underdogs in this case.
It was certainly a David and Goliath situation. This little 25-member tribe versus the state of California. It's not exactly an even fight, but we had won at every level. There were other cases being litigated around the country by other tribes that where the tribes had won. So we felt pretty good. You never know what's going to happen when you get in front of a judge, or in this case, 9 justices.
Months later, the tribes were successful. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled state laws cannot regulate gambling on federally recognized reservations, paving the way for the future of tribal gaming.
You know, I'm often asked, could you envision what was going to come out of this decision? And the answer is, I don't think anybody could envision 35 or 40 years ago that tribal gaming would be generating last year, 2023, $41 billion. I mean, this is a huge amount of money that wasn't there before. You know, many tribes like the Cabazons were relying on small BIA grants and contracts to survive. What has developed is really phenomenal and is providing all kinds of benefits to the tribe.
While this case was a historic win for the Cabazon people, it's just a part of their story. And you can find the history of the tribe and the Cahuilla people on display year-round at the Cabazon Cultural Museum.
Right here shows is our music. This shows a bird dance.
Michael Morales operates the Cultural Museum, where the trial and other key moments and artifacts are on exhibit.
Well, here we have Chief Cabazon, one of the most influential leaders of the Cahuilla people.
Chief Cabazon led the tribe until the 1870s. The reservation was established in 1876 and is just under 2,000 acres in size. And in 2004, became home to Fantasy Springs Casino. But Michael says the tribe is known for much more than its connection to gaming.
They're very thoughtful people. They don't just think business-wise, and they think about how everything affects the environment around them, the community around them. Generous and very thoughtful people.
The tribe also holds an annual powwow at the casino, allowing a space where tribes from across the country can connect and take part in traditional song and dance.
Cabazon was the first one to have both powwow and what we call our songs, bird songs, and bird dances merged together and start a collaboration.
The powwow attracts over 25,000 visitors every year, as this small tribe continues to make a big impact, and Michael is proud to be a part of its story.
I really appreciate the position I have because it gives me a chance to talk about the Cahuilla history, the Cahuilla people, customs and traditions, and educate anyone who comes in looking to learn about the Cahuilla people.
And as Michael Morales prepares for the powwow, he's also a part of the Desert Cahuilla bird singers who sing at events all across the Coachella Valley. He leads the youth in birdsong classes as well, and he had the opportunity to take his talents to the main stage. Local bird singers were asked to perform at Coachella Fest back in 2021. This video shows a group performing on stage in 2023. Their appearance at Coachella is seen as a way to highlight Native American culture and heritage on a large stage. Now it's time to learn about the Chemehuevi Nation and head to the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians Reservation. A majority of the Native American tribes across the Coachella Valley are Cahuilla Indians, but the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians are Chemehuevi. The Chemehuevi Nation called the Joshua Tree National Park area home for thousands of years, and now a historic agreement with the park is allowing the tribe to act as stewards of the land once again.
For generations, the Chemehuevi Indians roamed the desert lands of the Southwest. They searched the mountain ranges, hunting bighorn sheep and quail. They followed the rivers and streams, and when the scorching summer heat had passed from the desert, they always returned to this small valley on the California side of the Colorado River.
That valley included the area now known as Joshua Tree National Park, where the Chemehuevi tribe called home for thousands of years. The area has a natural palm oasis providing fresh water and shade. And the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians made the oasis their permanent home.
Flora, fauna, hunting, gathering, again, a water source, so they were able to live and thrive in that area for many generations.
That was until the expansion of the railroad, and the state of California filed a claim on the land in 1875, and the tribe relocated south of the oasis to an area with no water that was difficult to farm.
That was part of that effort in terms of, let's set aside this property that's not as valuable, doesn't have as many resources, because if we're going to construct this railroad system through here, we want, the water sources, we want everything that's kind of like the higher value property.
A few years later, in 1895, the tribe's reservation was established in the city of 29 Palms. It was expanded decades later in 1979 with an additional parcel in Coachella. But over the years, tribal members have kept a strong connection to their ancestral lands. And recently, a co-stewardship between the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians and Joshua Tree National Park was announced, allowing the tribe to have a voice in protecting its resources and history. In 2023, park and tribal leaders came together for a signing ceremony.
It is preserving this so everybody else can enjoy in the future, because we not be here in 23 years. We're going to be gone, so let the kids enjoy it and let the future and the generations take care of it, for others to enjoy.
Some of the key points of the agreement include trail development, mutual aid to support law enforcement, fire and search and rescue, and joint planning on educational and interpretive activities.
They're very open in terms of to our ideas, and we're reciprocate, that approach in terms of how we can better collaborate, as the tribe, develops and grows, and as the park, develop and the visitorship grows. How do we identify solutions that can, better assist in both of our missions and respecting both of our missions in terms of the park and its intended use.
And the new superintendent of Joshua Tree National Park says she's looking forward to continuing this relationship.
This is a great time, and it's high time that we engage with our tribal communities to help us tell those stories. So I think one of the opportunities people may not think about is how the National Park Service can reach out to communities and talk about what are the stories, what are the histories, how would you like those portrayed and told to the American public. The park has 3 million visitors a year, and those are opportunities to share those stories and really provide that history that may not have been shared over the previous decades.
The agreement is still in the early stages, and the tribe is already looking toward the future.
It is a 7-year agreement, but we're looking to obviously extend that and continuing to extend that as we work on projects and start seeing some things, brick and mortar wise, interpretive programs, collections, preservation of collections. It's exciting.
If you're interested in learning more about any of the tribes mentioned in this special, or the Cahuilla or Chemehuevi nations, there are a number of displays and museums across the Coachella Valley that highlight Native American culture year-round. They include the Mauki Museum, Cabot's Pueblo, Museum of Riverside, and the Coachella Valley History Museum. You can also find different pieces of Native American art displayed at the Palm Springs Art Museum. That's where Gerald's work has been featured throughout the past few years.
Well, so I had a one-person show at the Palm Springs Art Museum. It opened in January of 2020. So it was right before the shutdown. And it was 78 works over 30 years. And so sculptures, drawings, paintings, you name it. All of my career was basically on view at that time. And then from that show, several of the works were purchased by the museum for their permanent collection.
His work, entitled Falling Rock, is over 8 feet across.
And it's over 1,800 crushed aluminum cans. So there are beer cans and soda cans. Two things that in tribal communities that are issues are alcoholism and diabetes, right? So alcohol and sugar, right? So I'm referring to those issues. But like my community, and we have those issues, right? But like my community, you get back, you look at it, it's kind of a beautiful thing.
He also had a display at Desert X.
Why is it so important to have these displays, whether it's art or artifacts, baskets, pottery? Why is it important to display that to the non-Native American community as well?
Tribal cultural institutions in the area, they do an important role of reminding people, including Indian people, that we belong here. And I'm not talking Cahuilla history, I'm not talking Native American history. This is American history that we should all celebrate and enjoy, but also we should all know.
Agua Caliente also hosts a speaker series which includes lectures and programs about the tribe. It's held at the Cultural Museum, and a recent session focused on creating and implementing new curriculum for Palm Springs Unified School District.
We were honored with the Honoring Nations Award for this curriculum from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. And so this is a true collaboration between the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians and the Palm Springs Unified School District and its schools foundation.
And you can learn more about the Cahuilla culture at the annual Agua Caliente Singing the Birds event in January.
Today, the tribes have a strong presence in the Coachella Valley, and they aim to give back to their community.
Each tribe of the Coachella Valley gives back in one form or another. Some recent examples: the Morongo Band of Mission Indians gives away thousands of free turkeys annually as part of its Thanksgiving outreach program. The turkeys go to nonprofit charities and church groups around the Coachella Valley, Riverside County, and Los Angeles.
That's how the program started. We were, given to some of the surrounding reservations, and it's proliferated into what is now a community outreach event, which helps 106 nonprofit organizations throughout our community.
The Morongo Band also made donations to nearly 80 community organizations, including Guide Dogs of the Desert.
It's absolutely remarkable. The money goes to great use with our dogs and with the people we serve, and everybody is so happy about it.
Agua Caliente has contributed millions of dollars to youth groups, health organizations, and schools over the years, and recently made a donation to the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission.
On behalf of Tribal Council and the membership of the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians, we are here to present almost 500 articles of school supplies, including backpacks, pencils, and graphic calculators. So the tribe recognizes that there are students in need of just filling the gaps in order for them to help them have a successful school year.
And the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians donated helmets to help get Yucca Valley and 29 Palms high school football teams ready for their season.
Well, step one is this, giving them the proper tools to succeed, to give them that motivation. There's a lot of talent on the east side. It's just that we got to give them the proper tools to excel and exceed to wherever they want to be, whether it be football, whether it be science, or, whatever. So my tribe's willing to step up and provide those tools for them.
Before we go, I want to say thank you to all of the tribal leaders and members who were a part of this project. Each individual tribe has a long and complex history, and you at home were able to get just a glimpse into their past through the stories that were shared. The tribes tell me they will continue to honor and preserve their traditions, as together they represent the Cahuilla and Chemehuevi nations of the Coachella Valley. Thank you for joining us here on NBC Palm Springs for this special report.